Have you ever wanted a better way to capture your favorite ideas or action items when you're listening to a podcast, reading a book, or even just talking with a friend? This is a constant struggle for me every single day when I'm reading or listening to something and wanting to bookmark my favorite parts. Yet I still find myself forgetting about so many of these ideas because I don't have an easy and efficient way to put all of these ideas in a collective space. Fortunately, a commonplace notebook might just be the answer to this struggle. Hey everyone, my name is Eric. Welcome to the channel if you haven't been here before. Today I'm going to be talking about commonplace notebooks. First of all, I have a confession to make. When I first started making videos about notebooks and writing and journals just a few months ago, people in the comments of my videos began talking about different styles of notebooks and different ways of using them that I had never even heard of. It was super cool to hear from each person about how different notebooks or ways of using them worked best and suited their personal lives. I had been doing these things for years, such as writing and journaling, but I just never really thought too much about it. It was simply just something that I did in my daily life. With this, I was super encouraged to start using and trying some of these different strategies for using pocket notebooks to their full potential. One of the most common buzzwords that I kept hearing was the commonplace notebook. Honestly, I was not sure what this meant at first. It sounded cool, a lot of people mentioned it, and all of the people that were mentioning these notebooks were a lot smarter than I was, so I figured it'd be worth a shot to check them out. So for this video, I decided to do some research and figure out what a commonplace notebook was all about. A really quick search brought some interesting details about the history of commonplace notebooks and how they've been used by people like presidents, scientists, philosophers, farmers, and everyone in between. To put it really simply, a commonplace notebook is a way to collect details around you that are relevant to you in some way. Rather than writing things down introspectively like a diary or journal would be, a commonplace notebook is a way to document things only from external sources. I see them as a way to process, digest, and synthesize ideas that can then be shared from your own perspective. And ironically enough, a synthesizer or an educational creator, kind of like the stuff that I create, is simply just an outward expression of a commonplace notebook. As creators or synthesizers, you're simply just consuming content in a conscious way via books, podcasts, videos, and content, and then you just regurgitate that information from your own perspective. I basically just consider my way of learning, sharing, and creating as a commonplace notebook in human form. Because this is exactly what a commonplace notebook can allow you to do. They allow you to document and collect any ideas in a singular place that you can refer back to at any time. If you hear something you want to remember, write it in the notebook. If you hear a song lyric, quote, or resource you want to use, write it down. If you hear of a name, idea, or method for doing something, write it down. Eventually, this commonplace notebook becomes a collection and gallery of your favorite bookmarks and underlinings. It really doesn't matter where all of these things were sourced, it all comes together in a collective space to create something new. Think of it as a single place to document any and all wisdom you come across in your daily life. And over a longer period of time, this notebook eventually becomes a masterpiece that not only peeks into your own uniqueness, but can be valuable and or relevant to other people as well. Influential people such as Thomas Jefferson, Napoleon, and Mark Twain all kept commonplace books to document the wisdom in their surroundings. This is not a new idea, but it's rather an encouragement to return to a simple and stationary way to observe the things around you. Keeping a commonplace notebook is a surefire way to become more observant and to always be seeking the deeper meaning behind something. And unfortunately, this is a way of life that is quickly going downhill. So one thing that will always be debated in this category is if you should be using pen and paper or a digital way to take these notes. There are dozens of apps that make this a lot easier to type a quick note on your phone or laptop, or to even use a voice memo so that you can remember something for later. Often, I find myself personally recording notes in this way just because it's so easy and quick to do. Plus, when you're using a digital format, your ideas can be sorted, organized, and moved around quickly. However, for a true commonplace notebook, I believe that pen and paper are a necessary attribute. This was obviously the way that this has been done for centuries, and I think it's for good reason. I am a firm believer in the importance of writing certain things down by hand, and for most use cases with a commonplace notebook, writing it down by hand is just simply part of the process. Most of the time, your commonplace notebook entries are going to be quick and concise. They aren't necessarily meant to be expanded upon in further detail upon first observance. These quick notes are simply meant to just be recorded so that they can be tended to at a later date. And for this reason alone, I do think that using pen and paper for your commonplace notebook is worth the extra effort. You'll remember the details better, you'll spend more time thinking about the idea as you write it down, and most importantly, you will look like a wisdom-filled philosopher when you whip out your notebook and your pen to write down a quick note amongst the chaos of a constantly distracted digital world. Honestly, what more could you ask for? And if you're going to take this seriously, keeping a pocket notebook or similar notebook on hand is probably a smart way to do it anyway. So another common question is, how organized should this commonplace notebook be? If you're somebody like me who likes organization, the thought of just a bunch of random ideas on the pages seems a little bit overwhelming and messy. But honestly, the organization of your commonplace notebook is nothing to worry about. Our thoughts, ideas, and minds are constantly going in a million different directions, and realistically, your commonplace notebook is going to be an extension of that. If you reach a point in your book that you want to do some indexing or categorizing, a lot of people in the comments of my videos have mentioned helpful ways to make this happen. One way to do this is to leave the first page or two of your notebook blank, so that way when you fill the notebook, you can put an index on those blank pages. To do this, you can document certain page numbers, or you can highlight certain categories in specific colors, or you can even write in different colored inks depending on the topic. Regardless of how you choose to organize your notebook, revisiting this notebook often will be worth your time. This also leads to the question of, what should I do with these ideas once they're written in the notebook? Again, another common question that I get is, if I transfer these ideas from this commonplace notebook into another place, whether it's another notebook or somewhere digital online. And the answer is that so far I do not have an ideal system for this. But I will say, with a commonplace notebook, I do think it is a great idea to collect your observed details and expand upon them further through writing. This is essentially the exact workflow I use for my daily writing Notion template, and I will leave a link to that down below in the description. My personal writing process flows like this. I collect any notes, ideas, or quotes in a notebook or digital app. I block out time for a writing session, typically in the morning. Then I choose a specific idea to expand upon. I write for 30 to 60 minutes with this idea as the topic, and then I repeat this process over and over. Really, this is how all content comes to be. It's really a pretty simple process. Eventually, this becomes an extremely valuable workflow where you're constantly looking for new ideas and seeking new things out that you can consciously consume and then expand upon those same ideas through writing. Because more ideas equal more writing. And more notes in your commonplace notebook equals more things that you can learn from and expand upon through creating in whatever form that you prefer. This is where the power of the commonplace notebook really shines. Ryan Holiday, who most of you probably know, wrote about commonplace notebooks in a blog post back in 2014, and he quoted this: "Use them. Look, my commonplace book is easily justified. I write and speak about things for a living. I need this resource, but so do you. You write papers, memos, emails, notes to friends, birthday cards, give advice, have conversations at dinner, console loved ones, and tell someone how special you feel about them. All these are opportunities to use the wisdom you have come across and recorded to improve what you're doing with knowledge passed down through history." I think this is really well said, because I too write and speak, whether it's for the videos you're watching right now or for newsletters and blog posts that I create each week. But even beyond that, I think it's extremely beneficial to have a commonplace notebook just to observe details, document things in your life, even if you're not using them to write, share, and create for a living. Our minds are simply wired for seeking new things. We find a great sense of pleasure and purpose when we find new nuggets that can then be applied to our life's project. Observing is learning, and with a commonplace notebook, it is literally your job to observe and document. But also, it's pretty sick because this can be applied to you being a creator or personal brand as well. But anyway, best of all, there's literally no rules when it comes to these notebooks. You can use them in a way that improves your life, benefits you, and helps you to learn better. Eventually, these ideas from your commonplace notebook can then be shared to serve or encourage others through your own story. If you want to be a creator, you must consume and observe consciously first. And a commonplace notebook is a really great way to begin that journey. If you want to start creating content but don't know what your niche is, don't know where to start, and don't have confidence in the action that you're taking, I have a free 8-day course called the Content Clarity Crash Course. I'll have a link to that down below in the description. If you enjoyed this video or got value from it, make sure to hit like, subscribe if you want to follow along for more. My name is Eric. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.